Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Great to see all of you here. We've got people joining in. We'll give it a couple of minutes before we start, but wonderful to have you all here. Thank you for joining in today. My name is Paras Fatnani. I'm one of the co-founders and chief strategy officer at Seed Global Education. We're running this session today in partnership with Berkeley's Haas School of Business, in particular for their Masters of Financial Engineering. As many of you are joining in, we'll give it a minute or two more. But while the others join, it'll be great for all of you that are here at this moment. If you quickly in the chat, type out which city are you joining in from. So in the chat functionality at the bottom of your screen, if you just post which city you're joining in from. Lovely to have you here, Harpreet from Delhi. There are people from Indore, Goa, Ahmedabad, Pune, Bangalore, Dehradun. So we're really representing India across multiple cities: Noida, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Kharagpur. I believe Rohit's with one of the IITs as well. Mumbai, wonderful, great to have you all here. Bhalakpur, Dubai, Chennai, great. Welcome everybody. Bhubaneswar, Dehradun, Delhi again, wonderful. Great to have you all here. Today's session will talk a lot more about the financial engineering program, the opportunities it presents, and why Berkeley can be an ideal opportunity for you to study at. Welcome Ritika as well from Pune. Great to see you all here. We'll give it another minute or so. It's 2 minutes since we've launched the session. There's nearly over 100 of you here right now. Keep posting in the chat where you're joining in from. It's great for us to understand where people are coming in from. There's someone from Aurangabad as well. Great to see you all here. Welcome Shruti, welcome Gaurav. Once again, for some of you that have joined later, my name is Paras Fatnani. I'm one of the co-founders and Chief Strategy Officer at Seed Global Education. Today's session is in partnership with Berkeley's Haas School of Business, and we're going to talk in particular about the Masters of Financial Engineering. We'll give it one more minute before we go to the first part of the session today. Welcome Devajit from Hyderabad as well. Keep posting for many of you that have just joined. Tell us where you're joining in from, which city across India or any other part of the world that you're coming in from as well. Lovely to have you here, Ashish. Wonderful. Okay, great. So with that, I'd love to start introduction of today's session. So like I mentioned, today's session is in partnership with Berkeley's Haas School of Business. I've got with myself Jacob Galis, who's the program director for the Masters of Financial Engineering. Berkeley, as we all know, is one of the top ranked institutions in the world. A little bit about Jacob before I pass on to him as well in a few minutes. Jacob's been at Berkeley for a while, but prior to Berkeley, Jacob was at the NYU Stern School of Business. He has helped launch the one-year MBA program in technology. So someone who brings a lot of experience to the table. Prior to that, he also worked at a global consulting and executive search firm where he recruited, assessed, and placed executives into major financial institutions. He began his career a while ago in Goldman Sachs, managing relationships with the firm's hedge fund clients. So firstly, welcome Jacob for being here with us today. We have nearly about 120 people here. We'll give it another minute, and I'm going to launch a poll in just a minute before we go on to today's presentation. We'll give it another few seconds. Great to see a few others who've joined in from Pune, as well as from Hyderabad. Right, so we're 5 minutes in for today's session. Let us start with the poll. There's also somebody from Raipur. Great to have you here. We're going to launch a poll at the moment. You should see a poll on your screen. Take a moment. This helps us understand what your interests are. So there are 3 questions as a part of this poll. For each question, you can choose one answer. The first question that you will see on your screen states, which industry are you most interested in? There are 5 that are mentioned here. One, which is asset management. The next one is investment banking, trading, tech or fintech, or others, one of which are not listed here. The second question is around which function within BFSI are you most interested in? Is it portfolio management? The full form for BFSI, for some of you that may not be familiar, is banking, financial services, and investment banking. So portfolio management, quantitative research, trading, data science, deal strategist or deal structuring, product management, strategy, risk modeling and management, or one of those that are not listed here. You can pick other in that case. The third question is, which part of the US are you most interested to work in? Is it the East Coast? Is it the glamour of New York, Boston, Miami, New York, Boston that pleases you? Is it West Coast, California, Seattle? Is it another part of the US that you may be more keen on? Or are you looking to work internationally? So take a moment. There are 3 questions on your screen. Choose one that suits you the most. The first is, which industry are you most interested in? Second question is, which function within BFSI are you most interested in? And lastly, which part of the US would you like to work in? So for many of you that have just joined, the poll will help us understand a little bit more about the profile and interest of people here. And the presentation following this will really help you achieve your aspirations as well. So we'll give it a couple of more seconds for any of you that have just joined who are trying to answer the poll. 3 questions. Take a moment and answer them, please. So first one, which industry are you most interested in? Second question, which function within banking, financial services, investment banking are you most interested in? And then lastly, what part of the US do you intend to work in? There are some questions coming in already, and I'll come to that in just a minute. Right, with that, we will close the poll. So let's look at what some of the results are and what interest people have shown. So there is sizable interest in investment banking as well as tech and fintech as the top 2 choices, followed by asset management and trading as the third and fourth choices. In terms of function, there's quite an equal split. There are people interested in portfolio management, quantitative research, trading, and data science. Nearly just about 1 or 2% up and down, but all 4 have seen sizable interest, followed by product management and risk modeling and management. So great to see, great to hear more about this as well. And then finally, in terms of the location that most of you are interested in, there is a slight lead that the East Coast is taking, followed by the West Coast, and a couple of percent, nearly about 15% of you are also looking to work outside the US, which talks about some of your interests. And then just under 10% are looking at other parts of the US. So great. I think that's extremely useful. And thank you for all of you that have participated in the poll. Before we start the presentation, a couple of house rules. Once Jacob starts presenting, if he's asking you something that you're responding to as a part of an interaction, please use the chat functionality for that. If you have questions about the presentation, the program, or anything else that you'd like us to cover today, post it onto the Q&A section that you see at the bottom of your screen. I will be, once Jacob is done with this presentation, I will be taking questions that all of you have posted there. If you see a question that is already there, that aligns with what you want to ask, please upvote the question. Do not repeat the question again. This helps us make sure that if more people are curious about a particular topic, we will try and spend more time covering that. So try and upvote instead of repeating questions. But apart from that, make sure you make the most of today's session, engage, ask questions, and really this is for you to make more informed choices for your career ahead. With that, I'm going to hand over to Jacob, who will talk to us more about the Masters of Financial Engineering at Berkeley.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Paris, for having me here today. And we're so pleased to be starting off this partnership with Seed and to have an opportunity to connect and meet with all of you out in India. I was taking a look at some of the cities that you're all from. I've actually been to India quite a few times myself and love it down there. So I'm really excited to be able to share with you a bit more about the Master of Financial Engineering program here at Berkeley Haas. As Paris mentioned, I have a background both in financial services, retained executive search, as well as before making the move over to higher education at NYU and now Berkeley Haas. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, in 1 year's time, the Berkeley Master of Financial Engineering program will prepare you with the knowledge and the skills to prepare your career forward in the cutting edge fields of quantitative finance and data science. Now, as you're considering what type of graduate program you might want to enter, let me share with you a few very differentiating factors about our program as opposed to some of the other programs on the market. The first is this: we are a 1 year, 12-month program. Many of the other programs out there in the market are going to be 18 months, or in some cases up to 2 years. Now, of course, you can see the immediate implications of this. You'll be getting your degree in just 1 year's time, which means less time out of the workforce and a quicker time into your career. Now, this has profound implications for your return on investment. And we will talk a little bit more about that equation later in this presentation. But again, one of the unique differentiating factors about our program is that we are indeed a 1 year or 12-month program. Now, we enroll a class every March. So the next possibility for folks on the line here to start a program with us will be March in 2024. Our March 2023 class is already closed and finalized. But again, for those of you interested in starting the program in March of 2024, that will be the next opportunity you have to start our program. And the application at this time is live for that cycle, and we will get into much further detail about that a bit later on. Another very unique differentiating factor of our program is we are located in the heart of the San Francisco Bay Area, just steps away from Silicon Valley. Now, there is a major trend going on right now with respect to how technology companies are infiltrating the traditional Wall Street ecosystem. And of course, we are at the heart of where all of that is located. So if you are interested by the innovation going on at the intersection of finance and tech, this is a fantastic, fantastic location for you to study at. And finally, we are one of the only financial engineering programs that is located at a business school. So many of the other programs may be located at an engineering school or a computer science school. And so you will actually be at the world-renowned, top-ranked Haas School of Business. And so you will be able to both network and meet with your fellow MBA students as well. And of course, the Haas School of Business has a top-ranked MBA program as well. Now, you will see here we do have a 2-year part-time option available, and I will speak about that as well in just a moment's time for those of you who might be interested in that option. Now, let us talk a little bit about the program itself. We have some of the top faculty from all over the world who are in research positions here and will be teaching your courses. These are individuals who, of course, are doing cutting edge research and will have the privilege of learning from them. But again, because of our location, we are able to bring in industry professionals to teach you as well. So one example of that might be that we have 2 very senior managing directors at BlackRock who come in and teach your equity capital markets course for you. So you will benefit both from learning from tenured faculty as well as industry professionals. Now, our curriculum is exclusively designed for financial engineering students. So this program has been around for nearly 2 decades now, and the curriculum has moved in line with where the industry demands are. 95% of the coursework is indeed team-based, and we think this is very important. It will be representative of what you will be asked to do when you're working at companies, which is working with people from all different kinds of backgrounds and disciplines. And so the team-based nature of this program will be representative of that. Now, in addition to a 3-month internship, which is baked into the 12-month program, you will also benefit from independent study projects in which you can receive academic credit towards your degree. This typically takes the shape of 2 different formats. One is where you will partner with a faculty on research, and the second is where you will work with a company on a real challenge, a real problem that they might be facing. And again, this will give you additional ways to build experience to add to your resume. So both of those opportunities are actually in addition to the flagship 3-month paid internship, which you can do anywhere in the world. Now, of course, many people elect to do their internship in the San Francisco area, in New York City, in Chicago, where many of the trading houses are. But again, I did note that a certain percentage of you are interested in working internationally. I do have students that have done their internship and landed a full-time job in places like London, Singapore, and Hong Kong as well. Now, one of the things you'll want to consider, of course, is the reputation of the program that you'll be joining. And I'm pleased, of course, that the financial engineering program here at Berkeley is recognized as the top program by TFE Times and a top 3 program by QuantNet and RiskNet. Now, in addition to that, the Haas School of Business is also one of the top business schools across the globe. And finally, the UC Berkeley University as an institution, typically recognized as the top public university in the United States. So you will be instantaneously have a great reputation attached to your profile immediately upon entering this institution and this program. And of course, this has very profound implications when it comes to looking for jobs, networking, and of course, you will benefit from a tremendous alumni network. So let me speak a little bit more about what that means. There is the UC Berkeley Alumni Network, in which you will benefit from all of the variety of different individuals who have come through this institution. There's the Haas School of Business Network, in which you will benefit from also networking with, like I say, MBA students who have gone through the MBA side. And then finally, MFE alumni, financial engineering student alumni. This is a triple helix effect in which you will have a tremendous network to be able to tap into upon entering this program. Now, I wanted to go a little bit over our part-time option, because I do understand that there may be some of you who are working professionals and or might be interested in this in the future. So our flagship program indeed is the 1-year, 12-month in-person program, but we do also offer a 2-year option, which can be done on a part-time basis. Now, this is really designed for working professionals. You can complete this program remotely, and it will take you about 2 years. Let me note here that we cannot issue F1 visas for part-time students. Again, so if you are based internationally, you're welcome to apply for this program if you'd like to do it on a part-time basis. If you're in the United States, you will need to get an employer to sponsor your H-1B visa in order to do the part-time option. So again, it's a flexible learning experience, and it allows students to continue to work while they work towards their degree. Now, this option is a much smaller cohort. I will plan to enroll about 80 students into the full-time program, where I will plan to enroll about 10 students into the part-time option. So again, I make this available to you should you be interested in studying part-time. Now, the Berkeley MFE has a wonderful track record of successfully launching careers for our students. So as you know, myself, having worked in the financial services field at Goldman Sachs, as well as in retained executive search, helping students to find and source internship and full-time opportunities, we will be with you every step of the way here. We have some of the highest salaries compared to any other program in the world. Last year's class commanded a mean base salary of just over 150 USD and a mean sign-on of 26,000 USD. Now, of course, one of the more lucrative parts of this field are the year-end bonuses. And those do typically tend to vary, but can be as much as 100% of your base salary, if not more. What you can quickly see here is just how lucrative this field and this career can be, right? And this comes back to the return on investment equation. It's no surprise that US-based programs are quite expensive, but when you look at the return on the investment here, you will quickly see, even for students who are funding their education vis-a-vis loans, your payback period will be quite rapid given the starting salaries. Now, of course, the salary growth is quite high as well, and it's not uncommon for people to be making well into the mid six figures just a few years after our program. So again, you will be having recognized experts who will be working with you and for you. We develop a comprehensive resume book in which that gets sent out to hundreds of different managing directors, portfolio managers, heads of fintech companies. And so many students are contacted directly through that resume book about opportunities. And additionally, we will be putting together weekly and monthly career newsletters in which we will be highlighting tremendous amount of opportunities for you. We will also be doing bespoke opportunities in which we will make direct referrals for the class for different types of opportunities. We bring in industry professionals to give industry and practice seminars in which you will have vast networking opportunities. We've already spoken about the power of the 3 different alumni networks you will have the opportunity to tap into. Now, of course, many of you will be studying here on an F1 visa. We are a STEM OPT recognized program. What that means is you will have 12 months to work in the United States without needing an H-1B visa. Additionally, you will have the opportunity to apply for a 24-month extension without needing an H-1B visa. So you will, in effect, have up to 3 years to work in the US without having to worry about an H-1B visa. Now, again, many of the employers we work with are familiar with the STEM OPT model as well as H-1B. But again, I know this is an important part for many of you considering working in the United States. We'll also be putting on workshops, mock interviews, different types of job fairs and networking opportunities. We recently launched our Alumni in Residence program as well, in which we have alumni of the program in which you can book office hours, career coaching appointments. And again, you will be very well resourced and taken care of with respect to looking for internships and full-time jobs. Now, we spoke about the poll a bit earlier, and our students are indeed going into a variety of different opportunities across the asset management space, trading companies, investment banks. I did note the relatively high percentage of you who are interested in fintech and ed tech. And again, this does come back to the important part about our location. We are in the very heart of where many of the technology and fintech companies are headquartered. And again, for those of you who are more interested in going into traditional finance, of course, you will be well positioned both to work in San Francisco, Chicago, and New York City. Again, our students are going into a wide variety of functional areas, whether it be risk management, data science, portfolio management, or trading. Now, let me share just a sampling of some of the companies of where our students have gone on to secure full-time work and internships. You'll note investment banks like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs. You'll note technology companies like Amazon. You'll note asset managers like Point72 and Centtiva. You'll note trading companies like Citadel. And so no matter where you're looking to take your career, we will have the opportunity to help you develop a resume, develop a job search strategy that will give you an opportunity to work at firms such as these. So let's talk about the typical type of profile that we're looking for, and then we will dial into this a little bit more. what I have here is some of our alumni profiles. Now, what you can see here in terms of their prior degrees is they've all studied something that I would kind of classify as a technical discipline: applied mathematics, statistics, physics, electrical engineering, industrial management, right? You can get a sense here for some of the technical backgrounds. Now, if you're on this call and you have not studied or are not studying something that falls into one of these categories, then what you'll need to do is sort of prove proficiency in other ways. And that could be vis-a-vis online courses, that could be vis-a-vis internship experience. But we do typically look for someone who has studied a more technical background at the undergraduate or graduate level. Again, I give you some additional profiles in which you may want to take a look and see some of the backgrounds. We have individuals like Rajat, who has now gone on to do something more entrepreneurial. The chief credit officer at Clio.ai, actually came out of IIT Delhi. We have individuals who have studied computer science in France, now working at places like Man. We have individuals like Craig, who is now a machine learning engineer at an insurtech company called Evolution IQ. So you can see just the vast range of different opportunities that our students have now gone on to do as alumni. Wonderful. So we've talked a little bit about the curriculum. We've talked a little bit about the career services. We've talked a little bit about what makes this such a unique program and opportunity. Now let's talk about how you can differentiate yourself and get in, and a little bit about our admissions process. So what are we looking for? We are looking for at least an undergraduate degree comparable to a US four-year degree. So what does that mean? That means that we will be looking for a comparable degree to the US four-year degree. We have tons of applicants from India every single year. We are well familiar with all of the variety of different programs and schools and institutions. So you can be rest assured, we are very familiar with both the grading systems, the schools, and the different programs. So you will be well handled here from our admissions team. We also are looking for the GMAT or the GRE. Now, again, either one of those is fine, but we will be requiring the GMAT or the GRE. Typically, we look for 90th percentile or above on the quant section and 70th percentile or above on the verbal section. Now, those are averages represented of a typical admitted student. Those are not minimum requirements. Again, I repeat, those are not minimum requirements. Those are averages represented of a typical admitted student. We take a holistic admissions process. That means that no single part of the application is going to be weighed more heavily than any other part. We also, for those of you who did not attend an institution where the certified instruction of language was English, will require the TOEFL or the IELTS exam. Again, we obviously are teaching our courses in English. Your interviews will be in English. And so we want to make sure you have a good command of the English language. We require 2 letters of recommendation. That can come from an academic profession in terms of a faculty member or someone who has supervised your work in an academic setting, or that can come from a professional setting, maybe a supervisor on an internship, or for those of you who have full-time work experience, a job, someone who's supervised a job. Once we receive your completed application, the next stage is you will be reviewed by our admissions team, and you would be then invited to an interview if you make it to the second round. The second round would be an interview with one of our alumni. They will be further interviewing you for your skills in macroeconomics, finance, mathematics, statistics, computer science, and your communication skills. Again, those are by invitation only. That is effectively our second round. Once we get the completed interview, you would then be notified of your final decision. So we have 4 deadlines. Again, our next opportunity to start this program is March of 2024. The deadlines are as follows: January, round 1, March, round 2, July, round 3, October, round 4. Again, we are rolling admission. What does that mean? That means don't sacrifice speed for quality but outside of sacrificing quality, then apply as early as you can. Again, January is the first deadline for March of 2024. Now, our application fee is 275 USD. I'm pleased to share that through our partnership with Seed, we will be waiving that application fee for anyone on the call today. Again, we will be waiving our $275 application fee through our partnership with Seed for anyone on the call today. I will talk to you a little bit more about how to waive that at the end of the presentation. So again, we're looking for those strong quantitative skills in math and statistics. We're looking for strong programming skills in areas like Python, C++, a background in machine learning. And technical skills are just half of what we're looking for. We need individuals who are strong communicators, the ability to explain complex concepts in simple terms, and those who show strong intuition and logic. How can you prove that you've demonstrated some of these areas? Well, on the quantitative side, it's taking courses in areas like calculus, linear algebra, partial differential equations, statistics, and econometrics. On the finance side, it's taking courses in areas like finance, investments. Taking CFA level 1 or 2 is a great way to prove proficiency in these areas. On the programming side, we've spoken about C++, Python, machine learning, and of course, the strong writing and communication skills. Now, if you have not taken courses in every single one of these areas, it means one of two things. It means you can take an online course to further strengthen your application, or it means you can prove proficiency vis-a-vis internship experience, vis-a-vis full-time work experience. So again, don't feel like you need to have taken a significant amount of courses in all of these areas to apply for the program. But of course, all of these skills are important to succeed in this field and of course, in our program. Of course, another way to also demonstrate proficiency in C++, Python, and coding. There are a variety of different online platforms now where you can get certificates and prove proficiency in some of these areas. This is the student profile of my most recent entering class. You can see the backgrounds in areas that we've talked about: engineering, computer science. You can see here about 24% of the class already had a master's degree or a PhD degree, whereas about 76% of the class only had a bachelor's degree. So for those of you who already have an advanced degree, by all means, you can still feel free to apply. The typical average age of our students are 25 years old. That means that they have a couple of years of work experience. Again, work experience not required. Again, I repeat, work experience is not required, but many of our students do have at least a couple of years of experience. And you can see here that the representation is about 32% female. We spoke about the average GMAT or the GRE score, again, not minimum requirements, just averages. Now, we leave absolutely no stone unturned to recruit the very best and brightest from across the globe. We have over 20 nationalities represented in this class. We do always recruit a significant amount of students from India. It is typically our second largest population in the cohort. So again, we do very much value very, very top and bright students coming from India, and you will do well in a program like this. So, of course, we mentioned a little bit about the high starting salaries and the strong return of investment. International students are eligible for different loan opportunities. Additionally, we do have merit-based scholarships available. Those are automatically going to be under consideration when you submit your application. There is no separate application for those merit-based scholarships. So once you submit, the committee will automatically review you for a merit-based scholarship. Typically, those are about $20,000 in number, in terms of the number, the total amount of a merit-based scholarship. Now, we do have other types of scholarships available as well, but those are application-based and typically more based on your need, in other words, your financial need, as opposed to merit. And those would only be available to our admitted students. So again, those applications would be available once you are admitted to the program. So there are a variety of different ways to fund your education, and many students have gone on to do very successful things. We took a look at this typical calendar here. Again, we start in March. You'll be taking courses in investments, derivatives, empirical methods in finance, and stochastic calculus, followed by your summer term where you'll take courses in derivatives, fixed income, and financial data science. You'll then move into your third term where you'll take courses in risk management, asset-backed securities, currency markets, equity markets, high-frequency finance, deep learning, decentralized finance. Throughout those terms, you will also be able to do the independent study projects, which I spoke about earlier. Again, partnering with a faculty on research or partnering with a company on a project or a challenge that they're facing. You will then leave us for your 3-month internship and then return for your 4th and final term. You'll continue courses in areas at asset management, behavioral finance, and financial innovation with data science applications. It is in this term that you will also do your applied finance project, which is the equivalent of our program's thesis, and you will be putting together a thorough research analysis, which you can then present to a panel of industry committee members. It is an immersive program. It is an intense program, but it is one that will prepare you well to propel your career forward in quant finance and data science. Now, in addition to excellent academics, career services, we also know that this is an amazing opportunity for all of you on a personal level. You'll have an opportunity to be meeting people from all around the world. Graduate school is an amazing time to be forming new relationships, to be meeting new people. The main organization on campus that facilitates this interaction is the Financial Engineering Students Association, in which you will have the opportunity to also run for elected positions such as president, vice president, social chairs. Our students are doing all kinds of fun activities, whether it's going out to places like Yosemite National Park, Sonoma Wine Region, Disneyland down in Los Angeles. But all of these things will allow you and help you to build friendships and a network that will last you a lifetime. We're also very proud of our Women's Leadership Initiative. This is a new program in which we are fostering connections between our female students and female alumni to foster the representation of women in the field of fintech and quant finance. Now, as financial engineering students here at Berkeley, you will have a designated trading lab and computer lab that you will be the only ones to have access to. It's a designated space on campus where you'll have access to a variety of financial databases, statistical and analytical software packages, where you will be well equipped to have all of the tools and resources you need to be successful in this program. We also have a dedicated staff member on campus here who will be with you in terms of any challenges, any issues that you may need with respect to these types of tools. So let me finalize by saying, again, you will need to demonstrate proficiency in the areas of finance and programming. You can take these courses through any accredited institution, the CFA program, UC Berkeley Extension, Coursera, edX, Udacity. Again, on the math and the statistics prep, you will also want to show proficiency in these areas. For any aspiring quant finance professional, I recommend picking up a copy of the books on the lower left-hand side here. And these will serve you well to prepare for our program and, of course, for interviews, which would start very quickly upon being admitted to our program. Now, we're obviously going to break into some Q&A, but if you have any questions at all that do not get answered over the course of this session today, please don't hesitate to email us, all right? mfe@haas.berkeley.edu. Our team is more than happy to answer any questions. We're happy to review your transcripts, to review your resume, to ask questions about your specific case. We also have open office hours where you can join and have a conversation with someone from the admissions team. Again, our website is a tremendous wealth of knowledge. We have all kinds of information there in terms of employment reports, the student blog, how to get into the program, an FAQ about admissions. So please don't hesitate to spend time on there. Every single question that you do have can be answered vis-a-vis our website. Now, before I turn it back over to Paras, I did mention that through this partnership, we are offering an application fee waiver for those of you who are interested. What you would need to do is email us at mfe@haas.berkeley.edu. Let them know that you were on the seed session and you're interested in applying and would like to take advantage of the application fee waiver. So before we go back into the Q&A, let me leave you with this. If you are interested in a field of quantitative finance, data science, financial technology, this program is an incredible opportunity and will set you up well. If you're interested in the innovation that is taking place at the intersection of finance and technology, there is no better place than to study than at UC Berkeley and in the financial engineering program at Haas. So thank you. And Paras, I will turn it back over to you at this time to kick over the Q&A.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jacob, for that presentation. Very informative. I'm sure several questions that have come up have in some form or the other been answered already. So that's great to see. But I'll try and take as many as we can so that we can address individually on some of the bits that individuals have posted on. While we do that, a quick request to all of you that are here joining in the session, please feel free to keep posting your questions and upvoting questions. I will try and take as many as we can in the time that today allows us to, but also feel free to email the team at Berkeley, who will answer more in due time as well. So first up, one question, Jacob, that a few people asked, and in different ways you have answered this in your presentation, but just to resurface on that, for students that are not directly from a science or an engineering background, or in particular come from a business or commerce background, one, can they apply to the program, and two, how does the program help them?
Sure. So it depends really how far away we're talking about. So let me give an example. If your background isn't necessarily in a hard technical discipline, i.e. math, stats, physics, computer science, engineering, but let's say it's in finance, commerce, accounting, economics, I would still say, please go ahead and apply, but you will need to demonstrate how you're working towards proving proficiency in some of those other areas, because you will need those skills to be successful in this program. Now, if I go to the other end of the spectrum, let's say you've studied political science, you've studied journalism, you've studied something that's just completely outside the scope of this program. You will, again, I'm happy for you to apply, but you can see why you're going to need to do a significant amount of preparation on your end, vis-a-vis taking courses, vis-a-vis doing internships, in order to demonstrate that you would be able to handle this curriculum and able to be successful in this program. Okay.
Great, thank you, Jacob. And this sort of feeds into for some of you that have asked, Jacob, the next question sort of is aligned to this topic of studying business programs as well. There are many students who've probably done a 3-year bachelor's degree, which is a common challenge that Indian students face when they look at studying in the US. So Karan and a couple of others have asked, does having a 3-year bachelor's degree from a reputed school still give them a chance, or is that quite a hindrance still as well?
Unfortunately, it is a hindrance. Yes, we will need you to take some additional master's programs. It could be a 1-year program, could be a 2-year program, but the 3-year degree alone would not qualify, you would not be eligible. So again, if you have done additional studies, then you can certainly do that. And again, that is something that we run into a lot with people who simply just have the 3-year degree. If you have any questions about your specific case in terms of what other kinds of academics you've studied, feel free to email us. Our team is pretty familiar with all the various different options that would constitute, but typically the 3-year degree alone does not, unfortunately.
Okay, very clear and helpful. Kushal asks about a lot of people are talking about the CFA program, but his particular question is, does clearing CFA level 1 help in the application process, along with a 1-year internship in finance or in the field of finance with a GPA of 9.1 on 10?
Okay, I think there was kind of 3 questions baked into that. So taking CFA level 1, absolutely, that is looked favorably upon by the admissions team. It's especially important for those of you who have no background in finance, right? If you do have a background in finance, then obviously it's a bit less important. Though equally, I would suggest if you're interested in this field, it's a highly regarded certification. Next, an internship in finance, again, definitely valued. We do value internship experience. We do value full-time experience as we review your application. And third and finally was, Paras, remind me what the third, the 9.1. So that, listen, obviously that's a great GPA, typically coming out of most institutions down in India. So if you're above that 9.0 range, then you've clearly done well in school.
Great. So Kushal, the hint is use the application fee waiver and make an application to the program. Great. Several more questions coming in. Again, a quick request to all the participants, please post your questions in the Q&A tab, not in the chat, please. While I will try and take as many as I can, please post them into the Q&A section. There's one question coming from Amrita, who says, I come from an engineering background and have proficiency in the areas except economics and finance. What should be my strategy to prepare, and do I stand a chance to get admitted?
So your strategy to prepare would be either a combination of things. Option 1, CFA level 1. Option 2, potentially taking an online course in the areas of finance and economics. Option 3, proving proficiency through potentially an internship in the area of finance and economics, right? So all of those things are ways that you can demonstrate that you can have an understanding of what's going on in that space. Now, again, I want to make sure that it's clear that we do have individuals who are both applying and even sometimes are admitted without coursework or a background in some of these areas, right? But they are able to demonstrate through potentially experience, or if they make it to the interview stage, they've learned some of these skills on their own, right? That they can demonstrate that they are proficient in these areas. So again, to answer the question, I would say those are the 3 channels by which, if you're looking to be proactive about establishing proficiency, those would be my 3 recommendations. And yes, you do stand a chance to be admitted, given everything I just outlined.
Brilliant. There's a question from Varun, who says, with the MFE course, can we pivot into a career in FP&A roles?
This certainly you can, but no, this is not the type of degree that you would want to really be pursuing if you're interested in FP&A, right? That's more corporate finance, and you're better off getting maybe a degree in accounting and or potentially an MBA. So again, it's possible, but I'd probably steer you in a different direction if you truly want to work in FP&A.
Great. There's a question from Aman, who says, I'm currently doing a BTech in civil engineering. Is there any CGPA criteria as a part of the admissions process?
There's not necessarily a minimum. Again, we are familiar with the scale in India, so we do want to see top performers coming out of the programs down there. But I have had individuals who, let's say, for personal reasons, did not perform as well as they might have liked, but they're able to strengthen their application in other ways. What does that mean? That means maybe they have exceptional GRE scores. Maybe that means they have really great work experience. Maybe that means they have some very compelling letters of recommendation. So the GPA is one component of many of the application. There's not necessarily a minimum requirement, but it is an important to show that you've demonstrated that you're performing well. There is also an essay question that you can further demonstrate or tell us why you may have not performed as well. So again, if there were maybe some personal extenuating circumstances that prevented you from performing well, you can tell us in that essay question.
Fantastic. And I think Nishit has asked a question which sort of relates to the same answer that you've given now. How much does my GPA affect my chances of being admitted? I think that's been well covered at this point as well, with the GRE and other opportunities to showcase the ability in similar areas. There are a few questions, Jacob, about the resources that you spoke about in the presentation that students can avail. Is there a way we can share that with them following this presentation, following this webinar?
Well, this presentation itself, the slides, as well as the recording, we're more than happy to make available. If there were, okay, we can also make available, we have a list of some of our pre-approved online courses that you can use to establish proficiency in some of these areas. And if there were more specifics with respect to the resources, feel free to just let us know, whoever asked that question, and we can certainly, get you what you need.
Great. So for all attendees, what we will do at our end from Seed is we will work with Jacob and team to get you the list of pre-approved courses that he mentioned, as well as a copy of the presentation and the recording, so you can refer to that at a later point as well. There are some questions around scholarships for folks that have taken the CFA program. Any particular offering or opportunity for them in terms of funding, Jacob?
So CFA organization may have some of its own third-party scholarships. As far as our merit-based scholarships, we use the same criteria by which we use to determine if you're admissible to the program. What does that mean? That means your application taken together holistically will be used to determine eligibility for a merit-based scholarship. That's to say GPA, that's to say GMAT GRE, that's to say letters of recommendation, that's to say work experience, and that's to say CFA. So having the CFA will be taken under consideration in both determining admissibility for the program and eligibility for scholarships.
Fantastic. Kritika asks about opportunities in the area of actuarial science for graduates that come out of this program. Do you see students going to actuarial science as well?
Yeah, that I would say is more common than FP&A. Again, not going to be the sort of central focus of someone coming out of this program, actuarial science, but yes, much more, I would say, than the FP&A, but a bit outside of scope, right? When we're looking at some of the core areas, it's really going to be those areas that we pulled the students on at the beginning, right? Asset management, quantitative research, trading, financial technology, strats, right? These are the more common areas that students will go into from a program such as this.
Fantastic. Imad asks about, he has a bachelor's degree in civil engineering with about 7 years of experience. Would he be, obviously not about chances, but I want to generalize that a bit. Would you suggest for him to apply for the MIF?
Certainly. It really depends what you'd like to do with your career. You've got a decent amount of experience. I'm not sure if the individual alluded to what that experience has been in. If it's in the field of civil engineering, then you will be making what I call a bit of a career pivot, right? And so certainly this degree can help you if you're committed to making that transition into the field of quantitative finance.
Fantastic. And Shubham has posted 2 questions, one of which I'll quickly answer around, is it a necessity to appear for a CFA exam? The answer is no, Shubham, which has been sort of referred to already by Jacob. It becomes an advantage, but it's not a necessity. And I'll pass the second question to you, Jacob, which is, does completing a couple of courses of basic actuarial science papers give an edge in terms of the application?
Not necessarily. I think, if you've already done that, then certainly include it in your application, bring it to our attention. But if you're thinking about, hey, should I do this as a way to differentiate myself for this program, I would say you're better off spending your time in other areas.
Great. Tushar asks about, does clearing FRM level 1 help in the application process?
Yeah, listen, that is another well-known certification program. So certainly, I think definitely included. We have many students and applicants who have cleared FRM. I'd say I'd give the slight edge to CFA, right? Again, if for those of you who are thinking about where to spend your time, I would go CFA over FRM. But if you've already done the FRM, certainly, yes, that's great.
Okay, lovely. Couple of questions about the application fee waiver, and if you can just take a minute to explain that. Students have asked two things. One, is there a deadline around which they can use the application fee waiver? And two, is it only for the March 24 intake, or could it be for the one following that as well?
I will say this, there's no deadline, and we're happy to kind of keep that open-ended, right? So, you'll just email us when you're ready to take advantage of that, reference the seed information session, and we can get that going for you. So no deadline. And for those of you who want to apply for March of 2025, you can take advantage of that. Recognize that the application for March of 2025 will not be available for another year from now, right? So just recognize that, okay? So right now the application is live for the intake of March of 2024.
And that sort of your comment sort of connects to a question that Jaya has asked about around deferred admissions. So if somebody admits now, can they start a year later as well?
So don't apply if you're not eligible, right? So don't apply thinking that, oh, I'll apply now and then automatically get deferred. But if you are genuinely interested in starting in March of 2024, and then extenuating circumstances make it so that you can't start for some reason, we will evaluate that. So we don't really have a deferral program so much as if life circumstances come up that prevent you from starting in the year that you wanted to start, we can certainly take that into consideration, and we'll talk to you about your personal case.
Fantastic. Amit has asked a question, and I'll quickly answer that just to make sure it's covered. I've done many of the courses and the prerequisites as part of my undergraduate degree. Would this count in the application process? Amit, as Jacob has alluded to, all courses that you've done, if are aligned with the requirements of the program, do mention them in your application. They will certainly help. So yes, I mean, to put a brief answer to that question, yes, it will help. Please mention it through the application. There is, I'm trying to pick, because there's quite a few, and thank you everybody for posting questions. We are limited in time, so I'll take a couple of more questions here. There are a few questions around the total expense, be it the fees plus accommodation. Jacob, do you want to explain a little bit about the entire cost of pursuing the program plus living expenses as well?
Yeah, so let me talk about the expenses of the program. Typically, those run to the tune of about 80,000 USD, right? Now, again, for many of you, that's probably going to sound like a very high number. It's actually quite low compared to other programs on the market. We're actually priced pretty low in terms of US-based graduate school programs, right? Again, you'll want to think about the return on investment, again, compared to the starting salaries. Cost of living is a bit more complex for me to outline, right? Because that's going to be very personal given what you want to do. Are you willing to live with roommates, or do you want your own personal place? Are you looking to go out every weekend and go and have a fun time in San Francisco, or are you willing to do that a little bit less, right? So I think that depends. What I will say is all of this is very clearly outlined on our website. So again, as part of our follow-up materials, Paris, we can certainly link to that part of the website where it will literally outline all of the various expenses that one could approximate.
Fantastic. Yeah, sure. And hopefully that answers your question as well. Gaurav, we will try and share as many resources we can via email as well as WhatsApp in partnership with Jacob's team. Two more questions before we wrap up for today. One is from Karthik, who says, is having a 2-year master's degree in distance mode followed by a 3-year bachelor's degree counted as a similar? I know this is very specific, but there are going to be people, Jacob, who've taken sort of a part-time or a remote master's program in addition to a 3-year bachelor's. I'm guessing it counts as the same with the 4th year of the qualification required.
Yeah, what I'm going to actually say on that, because I don't want to speak for our graduate division, is for those of you who have done that, send us an email and we'll get you an answer on that. I suspect, again, I want to say suspect, underline, that the answer will be yes. but before we make that official, just shoot us an email and we'll have our graduate team take a look.
Fantastic. In the interest of time, one more question, or rather last two, I would say. One from Prajwal, who says, would it help in the admissions process having published a research paper in machine learning?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then lastly, and if I remember correctly, you have one intake, but is there a spring and a fall intake as well, or is it just the part-time and a full-time option?
Just the full-time and the part-time option, and all the programs start in March.
Fantastic. Great. With that, I want to thank everybody who's taken time to attend today, ask so many relative questions. Apologies if there were some that we were not able to take today. I'm sure Jacob and team will be more than happy if you email them, and they'll answer as many more as they can as well. Jacob, any parting advice for all the students who are looking to apply in this year or the following year as well?
Yeah, let me reiterate what I said, which is if you are interested by what's happening right now and all the exciting things that are taking place in fintech and finance and all of the quantitative areas that are transpiring, then certainly take the next step. We're more than happy to be with you through every step of this journey. Again, we have open office hours. Email us your questions. For those of you who are excited about March 2024, definitely go ahead, start the application process. And we really look forward to hopefully welcoming many of you to beautiful Berkeley, California in the years ahead.
Great. Thank you, Jacob. With that, just last comment from me for a few of you that are still posting questions around the application fee waiver. I have posted on the chat here, and we will send you a follow-up with that information as well. All you need to do is email the MFE team at mfe@haas.berkeley.edu, quoting that you attended today's session or quoting that you attended the seed session, and they will offer you the application fee waiver. More information on that will follow up through emails and WhatsApp as well. But for now, I want to thank everybody who's still here. I know this has been slightly longer than what we planned for. I hope today's session was useful for you. It clarified many of your questions. And we hope this helps you make a more informed choice for your postgraduate degree. For now, that's goodbye from us here at Seed and with partnership with Jacob and team. All the best with your application process, and do let us know if there's anything else we can help with. Thank you.